Hello everyone and welcome to another video. My name is Keir Smith. For today's video I'm going to be talking about the hot topic that's on most people's lips in the world of music. Brothers Noel and Liam Gallagher have finally seemingly buried the hatchet and are about to put Oasis back on the road again. And thousands of fans are working themselves up into quite a frenzy at this news. But me? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint, but I'm not mad for it. I'm at the grand old age of 43 years old now, and I was 13 and a half years old when Oasis released their debut album, Definitely Maybe, back in August 1994. And I first heard that album some months later after me and my brother Craig went round to our friend Simon's house and asked if we could borrow the album from him, and he duly ran upstairs and came down and presented us with a tape cassette copy of the album, which we took home and played over and over again. And the rest, as they say, is history. From that point on, my older brother Craig and my oldest brother Liam both went out and bought every Oasis release on release day. And as soon as I started working and earning money, I quickly followed suit. We all loved the band. We thought they were amazing. And Craig and Liam both saw Oasis live at those shows at Nebworth in August 1996. I had to wait a little longer to see the band, but finally got to see the band on their Be Here Now tour at Wembley Arena in 1997. Me and my brother Liam went to that. And I saw them live again at Finsbury Park in 2002 and again at Nottingham Arena in 2006. No doubt about it, I was a huge fan. I bought every single, every album that obviously I've still got to this day. And naturally I look back on those youthful days following that band around and going through their whole musical journey with them with great fondness. And of course I was disappointed when the band broke up back in August 2009. But of course I was also very keen to see what Brothers Gallagher would do next. And when Liam formed the band BDI, I was keen to buy what they put out. And I really like those first two BDI albums, more so than I have done Liam's three following solo albums. And Liam's put out some really good stuff over the years. Songs like The Roller, Once and The River are among my favourites by him. But it's safe to say that I've followed Noel's works a lot more closely. He's a truly great writer, and all four of those High Flying Birds albums have been very good. Songs like AKA, What a Life, Stranded on the Wrong Beach, Lock All the Doors, Ballad of the Mighty Eye, Black and White Sunshine, It's a Beautiful World and Pretty Boy are among my favourites by him. And I really liked some of those more experimental songs that Noel did across those EPs that some fans took a bit of a funny turn to, songs like Black Star Dancing, and I loved Rattling Rose, and what a great song Sail On is. I saw Liam live once on his first solo tour, and I've gone on to see Noel 3 times live now. So I'm a big fan, and I've always been a big fan. So from all of that, you would expect that I'd be more than happy to hear that Brothers Gallagher are burying the hatchet and planning a big tour together, but I'm not. I can't tell you how boring it's been listening to that same old question being put to Noel and Liam Gallagher every time someone had a microphone in their hand. When are Oasis getting back together? Liam seemed to always champion the idea, whereas Noel was always seemingly dead against the idea. And I rated him for that. Of course, Oasis were great, and who wouldn't have wanted the band to continue when they split up in 2009? It seemed like it wasn't quite finished yet. And for me personally, the band left having made what I think is their best album, Dig Out Your Soul. But every band comes to an end at some point, and that seemed like a good place to go out at the top of the game. But for me, this announcement seemed almost inevitable, and I just have this underwhelming feeling about it all. And what started out with rumours of the band doing big shows in both Manchester and London has quickly turned into a full-on UK tour. And that announcement was made this morning now, as everyone knows, but it made me ask the question, who are Oasis? Who's in the band now? Well, Noel and Liam for sure, but who's on drums? Is it Tony McCarroll? Is it Alan White, Zach Starkey or Chris Sharrock? Is Grigsy back on bass, Bonehead on rhythm guitar, or is it Andy Bell and Gam? Does it even really matter? This is very much the Noel and Liam show. So, whoever's in the band, what songs will they play when they put these live shows on in 2025? Well, it's been reported that Noel and Liam are set to share a whopping £50 million for playing these shows. And that puts the ticket prices to the general public at around about £150, so I've seen. But of course, everyone else needs to get paid handsomely here. namely the promoters, who I'm sure will want to put on a great show for the ticket buying public. And I'm sure that they will have some say about which songs go into the set list. So I'm expecting a lot of songs to be played from those beloved first two albums, Definitely Maybe and What's the Story Morning Glory. But the constant hype around those first two albums has always rather irked me over the years. It seems that the narrative has become that they're the only Oasis albums worth listening to, and everything they did after that pales in significance. And sure, those first two albums are very good, but I've always preferred Dig Out Your Soul, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, and Be Here Now. But make no mistake, half of the setlist will be dominated by songs from Definitely Maybe and What's the Story Morning Glory. Expect Rock and Roll Star, Live Forever, Supersonic, Cigarettes and Alcohol, and Slide Away. Roll With It, Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, Some Might Say, Morning Glory, and Champagne Supernova. And I'm sure there'll be a good few B-sides from around that era too, like The Master Plan and Acquiesce, and you can fill in the blanks. I'm guessing and 3/4 knowing what that setlist will be before they've even put on a show makes it a bit of a bore for me. And no doubt there'll be a press release soon where Noel and Liam come out and say it's for the kids that didn't get to see the band first time around. And there's no doubt that Oasis are still hugely popular with the youth of today. And I've got friends in their 20s that are big Oasis fans and haven't seen them and are very keen to go. There hasn't been a band since Oasis that has caused that level of excitement. And of course, Noel and Liam have remained hugely popular since. But these live shows, some 15 years after the band broke up, in line with yet another appraisal of their debut album, Definitely Maybe, which is celebrating its 30th anniversary. Well, it's all very well timed, but maybe I'm being a bit cynical here, but it doesn't interest me. And the cynic in me also points out that Noel's recently gone through a divorce and lost a big chunk of money, a reported £20 million, and suddenly the reunion that was never going to happen is right back on. Maybe he's been sprung into action after seeing Liam tour that Definitely Maybe album all across Britain this summer. And as soon as Liam announced that tour, that he was going to do the Definitely Maybe album, I thought, what next? The Morning Glory album? Surely not. I could see Liam touring Morning Glory and singing Don't Look Back in Anger, and fans saying, oh yeah, I prefer Liam's version. And what was Noel going to do? Sit back and let Liam take all the plaudits for all of the great songs that Noel wrote for Oasis? And for me, that future was dull, boring, and inevitable. There was no doubt about it. There was going to be money on the table put to Liam, and he was going to tour Morning Glory. He said so himself. He said, yeah, I'll sing all of the albums. But Liam said that the band would never get back together just for the money. Noel, on the other hand, rather joked about that idea, and he once said that, if there was 500 million on the table, he'd pack his bags tomorrow and go out on tour. But times change, and this is some 15 years on now, and don't get me wrong, as I say, I was a huge fan, and it was fantastic, so exciting, buying those Oasis albums and playing them over and over again and hearing the B-sides from the singles and poring over them. They were great times, but that was then, and this is now, and to be honest, I've never been a big fan of those old bands getting back together and going out on tour one last time, a farewell tour, the final farewell tour, and trotting out those same overplayed hits night after night after night. Now, if there's a new Oasis album to look forward to, new music by the band, then of course I'd be interested in that. I'd love to hear new songs by the band. But that in itself would be tricky ground to cover, because naturally any new Oasis album would be compared to what had gone before. And because of the world we live in now, where there's so much new music available every single day, any new album by Oasis would be probably listened to a few times and then casually dismissed as not being as good as those first two albums. I can almost see the reviews now saying, well, it's not quite as good as Definitely Maybe and Morning Glory, but they prefer it to Heathen Chemistry. But anyway, enough of my cynicism. I remember reading an interview with Noel back in 2015 when he was asked that inevitable question about Oasis getting back together. And it made me laugh when he said that Paul Weller had been very vocal about the possibility of an Oasis reunion. And Noel said, and I quote, basically, if Oasis ever did get back together, which is highly unlikely, I'd have to leave London and move back to Manchester because he'd put my fucking windows in. But I certainly echo that amusing, albeit slightly harsh comment. Leave it alone, I say. And I've always had a great respect for Paul Weller for not reforming the Jam when, no doubt, big offers were put to him on many occasions. But these shows are going ahead and thousands of fans are going to flock to see Noel and Liam and whoever else is on stage with them and put it under the Oasis banner and make it look tidy. And whereas that kind of dilutes it for me, I say, go ahead, enjoy it for what it is. And I'll be very interested to read what Noel and Liam say in the upcoming months ahead of these shows. They'll be sure to charge up the ticket buying public. And who knows, maybe there will be some new Oasis material at the end of it and give me something to look forward to. But what I really think is they'll play these shows to huge acclaim, take the money they've earned and continue with their respective solo careers. But all of that's to come. So, as I'm sure you've gathered, I'm less than enthused by this once great band going on their own nostalgia trip. But what do you think? Are you excited about this news? Are you going to get tickets for one of the shows? Please let me know down in the comment section below. And thanks as always for stopping by and watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you for my next video sometime soon. Bye for now.